Lotus, is it Friday? You ready to do your video? Oh, Enzo, you got the empathies? You got the head tilts? You guys ready? Are you ready? Oh man, got the big head tilts. Ready? Okay, let's do it.
Good morning, YouTube. My name is Will.
Lotus.
Enzo. Today is Friday. I hope you guys are having a great Friday, setting yourself up for a nice weekend. It's a beautiful sunny day here right now. It is not Friday because obviously you wouldn't be able to watch this. Anyways, this channel focuses primarily, well no, not primarily, completely around Lotus and Enzo and German Shepherd content. A lot of the content could be used for any breed of dog, but obviously we have German Shepherds, so that's what we kind of cater towards. Today's video actually comes from one of you guys. Somebody had asked if I had any tips for like day one of getting a German Shepherd. So that's what this is gonna be about. Before we get into it though, I do wanna say that while this channel is pretty new, this is at least the third, maybe fourth video that I've done based on your guys' comments and suggestions. So if you guys have a video topic that you want me to cover, definitely comment below. Let me know. I do read all the comments. I try to comment back. If I miss a comment, I'm sorry. YouTube's way of organizing is terrible. I try not to miss any comments. So if I do miss one, I do apologize for that. I try not to. If you have a suggestion or anything though, definitely leave those below and let me know, and I will try to do it. So as I mentioned, today's video is day one tips. Now I could spend hours telling you all sorts of things that you should know about having a German Shepherd. I mean, that's pretty much what this entire channel is about. However, I'm trying to shoot this and Lotus is just cracking me up because he's seeing reflections and he's not really sure what's going on, so he's jumping at him. He's like, but it's mostly from the camera, so when I turn the camera around, it doesn't really do it. But he does this little like hop thing. We're gonna go over here in the shade, so we'll stop that. Stop driving him crazy. Okay, so if you were a friend of mine and you called me up and said, hey, I'm getting a German Shepherd today, what do I gotta do? While there's still a ton of things we're gonna have to do on day 2 and day 3 and so forth and so on, let's just get the day 1 stuff that we absolutely need. And that's what this video is. Really, Enzo? I plan to go inside to shoot the rest of this because I've got everything laid out. I want to let them play a minute, I guess. All right, maybe a few minutes. We'll pick this up in a moment. All right, I got my notes. We'll do the first portion out here so they can keep running around. So I guess tip 1 should be your life is going to change. It really should be on the list. I don't know why I didn't put it on there. But yeah, I mean, it really is like getting a kid. I mean, I don't have a kid. Life changes, obviously, if you get a kid. And I mean, any dog is going to be like that. Before you have a kid or a puppy, it's do whatever you want, whenever you want. When you have another life that depends on you, you got to take that into consideration. Can't just up and leave your house for days on end. That obviously wouldn't work. But on to the real list. The first thing I would suggest is to do things like what you're doing right now, which is watch videos, read books, tutorials, different things, read up, and just kind of get a base knowledge. Just so you have some indicators and some things to be aware of. A couple of the things that I would suggest you read up on or watch videos on specifically, which we're not going to go into too many details on in this specific video, is 1, crate training. We're not really going to talk too much about it. A couple small things on crate training. And then food. I do have a food video where I talk about what we feed them, so I can link that below. All right, one of the first things you're going to want to do once you get your puppy, or know that you're going to get your puppy, is schedule a vet appointment. Find a local vet, ask around, ask friends that have dogs, read reviews, you know, your general research that you would normally do. Find a vet and set up an appointment. You know, generally speaking, if you're getting like a German Shepherd, you usually know you're going to get it at least a few weeks in advance because, you know, they have litters and so forth. But obviously if you just, one falls into your lap or something, do the best you can, but you want to get them in as soon as possible just to confirm, you know, you should get all your shots and records from the breeder or from the rescue, wherever you get them from. You'll want to bring those with you, and then the vet will, you just want to have them checked out. Just kind of like you would do anything. You just want to have them verified, have everything looked at and make sure they're in good health. So you don't actually have to take them to the vet on day one. I wouldn't. You're going to be doing a lot on day one, but I would try to get it in ideally within like that first week for sure. All right, as I said before, there's so many things that you would want to know with having a German Shepherd or any puppy, but we want to kind of get through these as quickly as possible because there is a lot that I want to cover. So I will go through them more as like a list form. I'm not going to, some of them I will go into more detail. If at any time you have any questions or comments, leave them below. As I said before, I do try to get through all those and respond. When you get home with your puppy, give them a bath first thing. No questions about it. That is quite literally the first thing you do when you get home. You want to do this for a couple reasons. One, they generally smell, it's not that they're not being cared for or anything, but they're puppies. The breeders usually have them with the other litter mates, their brothers and sisters and all that stuff. So you want to wash them off. One, it kind of supposedly it helps them adjust because they can't smell them as much. Also, if they're carrying anything, any bugs or ticks or anything like that, you want to wash that off just to be sure. That way they're not stinking up your house or tracking anything in. Feeding them. You're going to want to feed all their meals in their crate. That goes along with crate training. It allows them to know that it's a safe space that good things happen in. Along with feeding their meals in the crate, you don't free feed them. You give them their food. You give them a reasonable amount of time to eat it. They're puppies. They're going to get distracted and things. But usually no more than like 15-ish minutes per meal. But that also means that, you don't just set the food in the crate and walk away. Generally speaking, you're going to sit there with them. And like I said, because they're going to want to walk around and follow you and all sorts of things. So you just need to sit there and I wouldn't say make them eat, but make them focus on the food so that if they want to eat, they know now's the time. Once a suitable amount of time has gone by, like I said, 10, 15 minutes, they'll probably eat it all. Okay, my camera died. Seemed like a good time to go in. They got some water. Lotus. So, as I was saying though, don't free feed them, feed them in the crate, give them a few minutes, give them a suitable amount of time. They're going to get distracted and stuff, that's fine, but keep them somewhat focused on eating. Once the meal's done, take it away. On that note though, water should always be made available 24/7. Well, not necessarily 24/7, but generally speaking, water should always be available. While they're eating, one of the things you want to do is play with them. Now, I don't mean play with a stick or a ball or anything like that. What I mean, though, is while they're eating, and we'll demonstrate on Lotus, who is apparently smuggled in a stick, is, play with their ears. Now, be gentle. You don't want to hurt them, and you don't want to damage their ears, obviously. But just, kind of play with their ears a little bit. Play with their paws. Just kind of pet them. Maybe grab their tail. Little things like this, and just honestly just kind of mess with them and stuff. Just kind of mess with them, and be like, oh, you don't have to do it excessively. You don't need to do it the whole time, but just a little bit here and there, kind of grab their ear or kind of do this or that or, pet them and stuff. What this does is it teaches them not to be protective of their food. Oh, you finally gonna chill? Riley, come to join us. All right, one final thing on food. Human food. Personally, I'm not a fan of giving human food to pups, but that's your decision if you want to do that. What I will say though is definitely don't do it while you're eating. So if you sit down to eat and you choose to give them table scraps, which again, not a fan of, but if you choose that, I highly suggest you don't do it while you're eating, because then it becomes a thing where every time you sit down to eat, they're going to come up to you and think that it's treat time. Buddy, what are you doing? Did you lose your ball? One final crate tip for this video, and that has to do with sleeping in the crate at night. You need to crate train them, and one of the ways you're gonna have to do this is when it's time to go to bed, you put them in their crate, and they stay in their crate until you get up the next morning. Now, they're not gonna make it all night without going to the bathroom, mind you. You're gonna have to get up probably at least once or twice those first few nights, and then it will slowly progress down. There's different theories on this. Most people, I think, kind of are of the belief that you should let them wake you up if they need to go out, because if they're sleeping, it doesn't make sense to wake them up to go to the bathroom, because then they learn that's... Do you have a different opinion? Lotus thinks he should sleep in the bed every night from day one, no matter what, basically. I'm a bit of a heavier sleeper, so I just set an alarm. I know that's not technically ideal because you could theoretically teach them that, hey, every few hours we go to the bathroom. I didn't have that issue. Neither Enzo or Lotus picked up on that. They didn't develop that habit. But for the first couple of nights, that's how I did it because I was afraid I wouldn't hear them. Now, I didn't do this for very long, but those first few nights. So the thing is, I mean, if Enzo tells me he needs to go to the bathroom or Lotus tells me they need to go to the bathroom, then I take them to the bathroom. But if I'm not paying attention, I don't really understand that that's what they're saying to me. I'm in the middle of something, not paying it. And that happened, honestly, today. It happened a little while ago. Enzo came up and was just bugging me. And I thought he was just because we hadn't been outside for a while. Normally we go for like a midday walk and we hadn't done that. So I just figured he was kind of like, hey, we're going to go for a walk or whatever. When in actuality, he was like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. And I didn't even think about it. So like 20 minutes later when we went outside, he went to the bathroom and I felt bad. But puppies, you don't have 20 minutes. You got like 20 seconds. When they tell you they got to go to the bathroom, that means I'm going to the bathroom whether you acknowledge it or not. So if a puppy starts waking up in the middle of the night, starts to whine that they have to go to the bathroom, you don't have much of time. So for me, it was, I would rather than risk them going to the bathroom and having an accident in the crate, I'd rather risk them forming the habit of thinking they have to go to the bathroom because I didn't think it would really be an issue. Turns out it wasn't. But you can make that call. If you're a light sleeper, then I would suggest not set an alarm and just let them wake you up. And trust me, they're going to wake you up. And when they do, you need to get up really quick and take them out right away. And what I mean by right away is, I was going to say hi again. So when I say get them up and take them out the potty, what I mean is you literally go to their crate, get them out, put them on a leash immediately, and walk straight to the door. You do not deviate. You do not deviate for 1 second. And I cannot stress this enough, especially in those first few nights. Not 1 second. If you forget to put your shoes by the door and you think, oh, I'm going to go get my shoes. No, you're going out barefoot or in your socks. Do not deviate. You deviate, they'll have an accident. I told him to go right away. I told him. No deviation. If you open the door and realize it's pouring down rain and you forgot your umbrella, guess what? You're both going to get wet. Just go outside and do it because you can either dry yourselves off or you can clean up an accident. Your call. I'd rather just dry myself off and the pup off when I get back in. That is also why we kept leashes, collars, umbrellas, shoes, everything by the doors in the middle of the night so that we knew we were good to go no matter what. Why? What? Everybody's being quiet. And I sit down. Now everybody wants to move. Lotus. Here, you can have yours. That's Enzo's. So let's move on. See, on my normal YouTube channel, I would kind of have to wait till Lotus stops squeaking the ball. But on their channel, I mean, come here for pups. This is pups. They take over your life. Did you drop yours? Yeah, you're sad. Yeah, you're sad because you dropped yours. And it rolled away. Let's talk about having a pup sitter. If you're thinking about getting a German Shepherd, you probably have a job. And much like babies, they can't go 9 hours without any attention. They're going to have to go out to the potty. They're going to have to eat. All this other stuff. Plus, they just don't want to be left alone for 9 hours. Like, that's just not good for them. With Enzo, Nisha's brother and sister kind of hung out with him for a few hours during the day. Right at first, when he was especially young. And then I would come home for extended lunch breaks, basically, and him and I would hang out for a bit. With Lotus, I was already working at home at that point, so it wasn't an issue. But they can't stay all cooped up by themselves for 9 hours. They're going to have accidents, they're going to be hungry, they're going to be thirsty, all these things that you just can't do. Like 3 hours max, and they're going to have to go to the bathroom. And speaking of plans, we have hardwood, so that's nicer, but we have rugs. You need to pick all those up. If you have any type of floor rugs, you need to pick those up because if they're going to have an accident, Murphy's Law says it's going to be on the rug. A massive house with 10,000 square feet and you have one little tiny rug, it'll happen on the rug. So just pick all those up right at first. I think we kept them up for probably the first couple months, just until we were relatively safe with the accidents. Lotus, please don't chew on your cot. Don't lick it either. Go get your antler or something. Speaking of houses, though, and whatever you live in, you're going to want to get baby gates. You're going to want to slowly expand their area. So pups are den animals, meaning that that's one of the reasons crates are good for them. They like it. They feel safe. And they will hold it as long as possible in a crate because they don't want to accidentally go to the bathroom where they sleep. That's like going to the bathroom in their home. So you want to treat your home as kind of like a den and slowly expand it, though. If you give them free roam of your entire house from day one, they're going to have accidents because they have no motivation not to. If you let them roam around multiple rooms around your house, but you're primarily, whatever room they determine is the primary den room, they're just going to wander off into one of the other rooms and have the accident, or to the other side of the room or anything. So what we did was, with Enzo, we started with just our living room. And we baby gated that in, and then slowly we would expand it. With Lotus, we actually spent most of our time down here in the basement. The basement's pretty large, so I actually gated off a section of the basement most days so that he would stay there, because if I gave him too much, he was more inclined to have an accident. And accidents, they're going to happen. No matter how good you are, no matter how thorough you are, they're going to happen. I feel like we were pretty high up on the vigilance scale, and Enzo still had a few accidents, and Lotus still had a few accidents. I mean, it's, you're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss things, and they're not perfect. They're going to have accidents no matter how much effort you put into it. But you're just going to try to minimize that as much as possible. Keep your house clean, and keep them understanding that the house is not a bathroom. Right, buddy?
So, yeah. I know you lost your ball again. Keep dropping it.
Okay. Baby gate was a good transition to list of items you should buy. Now, I've mentioned a couple already, kind of like the crate and so forth and the gate. But if I had nothing and was going to get a puppy today, these are the things that I would want to buy that day on my way. Like, before I go get the puppy, let me go shopping. Like, these are the things I'm going to get. Or more likely, if you have a little thought ahead of time on this, order stuff and have it delivered, whatever, But these are the bare minimums. Now, there are other things I would get on day 2 and day 4 and day 6, but these are just the things that ideally I would want day 1. Now, I'm going to put links to all these below so that if you guys want to get them, careful. He already knows the Tupperware, but one of them is training treats. I'm going to set these aside so Lotus isn't freaking out over them. I know they're in a Tupperware there, that we do that just because it's easier to open them and stay fresh versus Ziplocs and stuff. But training treats, they're specifically training treats. We still give them to Enzo and Lotus because they're bigger dogs and it's not really going to affect them. But they generally have, I don't know, I'd have to look at the nutritions, but I suspect they're not the healthiest treats, but they love them. That's why they're training treats. But again, because Enzo's, 100 pounds, giving him a little training treat isn't putting any type of dent. So we've always just stuck with them. But I would want those from day 1 for sure. The other thing you're going to want is pup bags. Now, you can get like these cheap ones. You can buy these by like the caseload. I will say don't buy too many of them though, because with a German Shepherd especially, or any larger breed, these are only going to be good for the first maybe month or 2, few months. Thanks for hitting the camera, Enzo. Once they get a little bigger, therefore their deposits are a little bigger, you're going to want something more like this that has like the lining and you can put your hand through it and be all protected and stuff. But I'll put links for both these below. These are way cheaper, but once they get to be like full adults and stuff, you'd want like 5 of these on your hand to feel safe. Food. Like I said, do some research ahead of time. Figure out what food you want to feed them. Have some of that handy already. There's probably going to be a puppy version, so I have the puppy version. If it's not the same that the breeder is using on them, though most good breeders, they're going to give you a small amount. You may have to buy some, but whatever, because you don't want to just, it's not a light switch. You don't want to just switch their food on them like that. You'd want to phase it out, and you can do your own research on this, but generally it's like you can phase it pretty quick. With Lotus, we phased it real quick. This next item, I don't have it here because it's outside right now in the car. Took them with me this morning when we went to the PARK. I was going to go out and get it for this video, but they're being calm right now and laying down. And if I go outside, they're going to get all excited again, and then we'll do this whole process again. But their water bowls that they use nowadays, they're just like metal ones that we have a stand for them. But in the beginning, you want ones with a rubber sole on the bottom because they're so small as puppies that they're just going to eat and drink right off the ground, and you don't want it to be moving around. You can also do like a pad, like a rubberized pad underneath them. But if the bowl itself isn't rubber, they'll still slide around. Again, I'll have the links below so you can see the bowls I'm talking about, but then also get like one of these rubber pads that you can put on there as well. One, it'll help it not slide around even more and give your floor a little protection, especially if you have carpet. These next two items may be obvious, but if you're going through the excitement of getting a new puppy, especially if it's a little unplanned, you may forget. So just as a reminder, you need to have a collar and you need to have a leash. We only use solid leashes. We don't ever use retractable ones. Retractable leashes, they're not very safe. There's a lot of issues you can kind of read about them, why you don't want them. I will say that one of the things I like about, it's okay, like this one doesn't, but they make ones that have like a little flexibility in them that can be a little handy. I didn't want that specifically. We have one of those, and it's good for when they're a puppy because it gives them, they're going to run and pull you and things. It kind of gives a little flexibility in it, so it's not just like a solid. This one is also nice, and so is the one that flexes because they have a little handle built in. So like when they're closer to you, you can just kind of grab the handle and hold them if you need to hold them closer to you. As I mentioned, you need a crate. Now, if you've seen our videos, we have like large crates for them. You're going to be inclined to want to buy the large one if you get like a German Shepherd because they're a large dog and they're going to outgrow the small ones. And the large ones, you can get dividers and stuff. But there's two problems you're going to run into. Despite how big we know they're going to get, we start with the small crate. For the same reason that you don't want to give them full access to the house, if you end up getting them a big crate, you don't want them to have full access because as a little puppy, crate's kind of big. They can kind of like, let me go to the bathroom here in the corner. You want to give them as little space as possible that they're still comfortable, obviously. We ran into issues though with Lotus. For whatever reason, Lotus, he tried to escape. And when he's really small and the crate's really big, even though it's a good secure crate, because he's so small, he actually managed to squeeze his head through it. And thankfully we were home and Nisha heard it because she's a lighter sleeper, because theoretically he could have probably choked to death the way he was in there because he started screaming and she heard it and came down and found him that way. So then we immediately got a small crate and took a bunch of extra precautions from that point on. Nowadays he's fine, but he's always kind of had that issue with the crate being left behind. Like if we leave the house, leave him in the crate, and for some reason Enzo's not here, we take Enzo with him, he still kind of has those issues a little bit. But as a small little puppy, it was kind of dangerous. So I know they're not cheap, and I know that they're going to outgrow it in like a few weeks. But if you're buying an $800 dog, something tells me you probably can swing to buy a second crate. You can buy cheap used ones. I don't know. It's something that's going to go in my house. People do all sorts of weird things with their dogs. Really didn't want a used crate that was all beat up in my house. So we just bought a new one. As I mentioned, you should give them a bath that first day. So puppy shampoo. Don't be using human shampoo or dish soap or anything crazy like that. Actual puppy shampoo you want to get. And I suggest you get like terry towels. You can buy these at like Sam's or Amazon or whatever. You can buy them in bulk. I'll have links for all this stuff below if you just want to get it off Amazon. Basically, we just dedicate these to the pups. Oftentimes, you need towels like to wipe their paws and stuff when they come in, but you don't need like big towels. People like to use like old bath towels and stuff, but those are so large and you just need a little bit. I find these to be much more friendly, and then you just wash them every couple days, throw a bunch in the wash, and you can move on. Last but not least, I've been saving this for last because I suspect the calm, peaceful puppies that you see here are not going to be as calm once I get these out. And that is pup toys. Puppies are going to chew, just FYI. They're going to chew. You can either have them chew on toys or you can have them chew on not toys, i.e. your stuff. We've never had really any issues with our pups chewing up any of our stuff. There's been a couple isolated incidents where Enzo wanted to get a little temper tantrum, But generally speaking, they don't chew our stuff because we have plenty of toys for them to chew on. Specifically though, a couple of the favorites. One is this little rattle. And I'll put a link for it. I don't even know who makes it. I'll have to look it up, but I'll link it below. For some reason, as a puppy, they love this stupid thing. As older pups, they don't really care too much for it. This was actually Enzo's, and now it's Lotus's, kind of. It was one of those that I always just felt a little bit safer with them having in the crate. Anything could happen with any toy when they're left in the crate, but at least they had something that I felt a little bit safer. Some toys you just feel safer them chewing on versus others for some reason. This, as I said, you should get multiple toys. I suggest you get some soft toys, and I also suggest you get some harder toys, like some harder like fake bones or something, because they're gonna have preferences. Oh, you want the rattle? Seriously? All right, there you go. So you might get a kick out of this next one. It's in my hand here, and it is Enzo's first rope, which Lotus still plays for, but actually Enzo still plays with this too. He'll come up with it. Looks like a freaking toothpick when he puts it in his mouth now. But we have a big one too. We had a really big one. It accidentally got left out in the rain, got mildew, so I had to throw it away. But Enzo loves rope. Lotus likes rope and tug of war, but Enzo freaking loves it. And we've played tug of war so many times with this rope, and then eventually with the big rope. We have like a medium handled rope now. This one, which works pretty well as well, but you can't give this to them as a puppy. This is bigger than they are. I don't think people realize, like, I wish I still had our big rope to show you guys, but this is little rope. Big rope, seriously like this big, and like I bet it weighs like 4 or 5 pounds. It was massive. But yeah, definitely have a lot of toy options for them.
You want your little baby rope?
Okay, so that does it for the video. I feel like it went longer than I anticipated based on my notes and just how long. As I started making the list, it just more things crept up that was like, oh, really should have this, really should have that. I came up with a bunch of other stuff that I think you should have, but not necessarily on day one, so I will do a kind of a follow-up video of kind of like everything you should probably consider having. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you got some use out of it. If there's anything I forgot that you think should be on this list, definitely comment below and let me know. I can, add it to the notes and so forth. Other than that, new videos every Friday. Pups also have an Instagram, that Enzo and Lotus, just like the YouTube channel. Otherwise, appreciate you guys watching. And oh, there's the wifey. Come on, Enzo, come on. Ah, don't you dare. Lotus, come. Sit.